Maximum partner in brief of ongoing progress work on the shutdown of Lagos infrastructure.
Bring all the traffic into this direction.
We are going to work to ensure that it is better during the traffic. If we don't support the people now, the road will collapse.
Good day and welcome to another edition of your program, Infrastructure Weekly. I am your anchor, Abosade Omowi. On the program today, we will be taking you around the nation to showcase the strides of the Buhari administration in the area of infrastructure development. From the north to the east to the south and the west, projects abound at various stages embarked upon by the Buhari administration or those abandoned by previous administrations. Stay with us, we'll be back after this break.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
there is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTD News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
The road will collapse.
Today, we'll be taking off from the power sector, where, as promised by the federal government through the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing, the Transmission Company of Nigeria has continued its effort aimed at expanding the transmission network in the country with the commissioning of power transmission substations in Yola, Adamawa State. According to the Managing Director of the Transmission Company of Nigeria, Usman Guru Mohammed, the transmission station will also aid economic development in the axis with better access to power by consumers as well as small and medium-scale enterprises.
Small and medium-scale business owners in Mayobelwa community and the entire northeast region will have a boost in power supply and a correspondent increase in businesses with the commissioning of this transmission substation. The managing director of the Nigerian Transmission Company, Usman Gu, congratulates the host community and the management of the Yola Electricity Distribution Company for working to improve power supply in the state in spite of the challenges.
We, from Transmission Company of Nigeria, we intend to correct that imbalances. And that is why we are going to put 330 kV substation in Jalingo. And this Maya Belwa substation also, we are upgrading it to 330 kV substation.
Minister of Power, Works and Housing, who was represented by Louis Edozian, a permanent secretary in the ministry, said Buhari's administration has resolved to revamp the economy of the Northeast and reduce poverty by providing electricity for improved economic activities.
I want to commend TCN, even though it was delayed, for finally arriving. It is part of their program of rapidly increasing the wheeling capacity of the grid, making the grid more reliable with redundancy and with additional capacity like they've delivered here.
Managing Director, Yola Electricity Distribution Company, Baba Mustafa, says the installation has helped in the supply of electricity in the states.
We were able to upload the transformers in Yola 330 substation and cut off some part of the load and supply the loads to Jada, Ganye, Mayobelwa, and Numan axis, which improved their voltage profile tremendously.
Local government chairman of Mayobelwa, Mohammed Bako, commends the TCN for the project, saying he and members of his community will play their part in safeguarding the facility.
The community are safeguarding this. We are all watchmen here, the entire community of Mayobelwa, and we are very happy this station will also be upgraded, as the MD has said. This is a very, very good news to the entire people of this zone.
The TCN says the move is meant to give effect to President Buhari's plan of providing stable and sustained power supply to the public.
The federal government has reiterated its commitment to increasing access to power for all Nigerians and to also ensure that businesses and business centers are given the opportunity of dedicated access through a program to ensure gainful employment for all Nigerians. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, disclosed this while speaking after an inspection tour of the Ariaria Main Market Power Project in Abia State. The minister said the government will continue to provide access to electricity to power the nation's growth and increase access to gainful employment for Nigerians through small and medium-scale enterprises development.
Aba City, also known as Enyimba, has one of the most robust markets in the southeastern region of the country, with customers coming as far as the Niger Republic, Cameroon and other surrounding countries to buy products. The residents of the commercial city and about 39,000 shops in the Ariaria market of Aba, Abia State is now experiencing a change from days of power outages to days of constant power supply.
You have seen in some of the shops that are benefiting from the pilot program that they say that from 3 days without energy, they are now experiencing 10 minutes without energy in a 9-hour trading cycle. That is what restructuring means. That is what change means. It means that small distribution projects like this can impact many more people. So if you look at 37,000 shops, where each shop has about 3 to 4 people, and multiply the impact.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says some electrification projects ongoing in the community, including a customer service center, will help meet the demands of the consumers. Fashola inspected the market in Aba with Damilola Ogumbi, Managing Director, Rural Electrification Agency, to get feedbacks from consumers of the already electrified 8,268 shops under the federal government's Energizing Initiatives Power Project.
So you hear now that apart from adding more power, about 70 megawatt of power, if you know that 1 megawatt can power roughly 200 homes, if you multiply 200 by 70, you will see the number of people that will be served here when the additional 70 megawatt is switched on in a few weeks. What is being awaited now is the fire protection system in the transformers. So what we've done here, we've added 2 new transformers of 60 MVA each. That means an additional 120 MVA to the existing 60 MVA, and it increases the total power intake in addition by 70 megawatt, which takes you to about 190 something megawatt for this disco.
They won't be steady. It's always something. Just maybe for like 1 hour or some 30 minutes.
1 hour, 30 minutes.
Or sometimes 10 minutes.
Out of how many hours?
We used to have like 10 or 11 hours.
So you lose it for about 10 to 30 minutes.
Yes.
So before, how many hours was it?
Maybe up to 2 or 3 days.
So from 2 days to 3 days without light, you are now 10 minutes to 30 minutes without light.
Yes.
So it's progress.
Yes.
Reacting to manufacturers and traders who had complained that lack of stable electricity has hampered their ability to reach their full potential, the Ministry of Power, Works and Housing is now correcting the situation with renewable energy and increased power capacity.
If you were just joining us, the program is Infrastructure Weekly, where we showcase the achievement of the Buhari administration in the power, works and housing sector and others. For inquiries, feedback and comment, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at infra_weekly. Join us after this break for a look at the housing sector and the National Housing Program in Imo and Abia State. Thanks for staying tuned. You can get in touch with us on the social media handles showing on your screen for comment, questions and feedback. The National Housing Program, put in place to address the nation's annual deficit of housing of over 20 million units, has everywhere it's been kick-started, led to the gainful employment of members of the host communities. The case is not different in Abia and Imo State. Let's take a listen to how members of the host communities are benefiting from the program.
The National Housing Program, initiated by the federal government, has yielded its first expected results of creating employment for youths. The initiative of the program is part of efforts by the federal government to get the teeming youths across the country back to work.
Those who had no work at all before, they now have hope. Their dignity is restored. They are not on the streets begging. They are in a place where they can work. That is what a nation does. That is what change means. Restore dignity of the people, give them work to do.
The site in Owerri, Imo State, has about 76 units of houses, including a 3-story building of 24 flats. The people of Imo State expressed joy over the housing project, while stating that over 200 youths from the community have gained employment on the site. From the food vendors to the number of companies that are employed here, the program is witnessing the use of local building materials, labor, and an ecosystem of growth.
It has helped my mom, in providing food for us, keeping food in our table every day. We thank God for the site they brought to our.
I've employed more than 120 people that worked, because when we started, we were doing it simultaneously. Both of them were running concurrently. And then we also have people we employed on full scale and those who were employed on daily basis.
The National Housing Site in Abia State, although still at the foundation level due to changes of the structure after a series of soil tests, is designed to also accommodate many families. It has 24 blocks comprising of 72 units and can take approximately 432 persons. The minister met with Ekwueme Chikwe, an artisan working as a cement mixer on the site. He says he earns 15,000 naira daily. Ekwueme wants President Muhammadu Buhari to continue initiating projects of this nature so that more jobs can be generated.
Any period between 4 to 6 weeks, 8 weeks, all of the substructure work, which you call foundation work in local language, would have been done. And then so we know that the house is going to stand on very solid footing.
The minister expresses satisfaction with the number of employment generated at the site, adding that the entire project was being executed in line with the federal government's local content policy. According to him, there cannot be any content that is more local than it is in this housing project, because this administration insists that contractors must use made in Nigeria products.
We've seen the quality of wood being used, ordinary plank. The time when they used to use ordinary plank for form work was perhaps before I entered secondary school. The whole world has moved on to very quality finish fiber and plywood. And that is the standard that we expect here. That is the standard we expect that those who are supervising for us will also insist on.
The housing estate has electrification and road projects to provide power supply, ease of movement, and a comfortable environment for the ultimate consumers.
For inquiries, comments and feedback, you can get in touch with us on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at infra_weekly. Join us after this break for a look at the road sector, with particular attention to the flag-off of the 20 billion naira rehabilitation of the Ikorodu-Shagamu Road, linking Lagos and Ogun State, and also serving as gateway to the eastern part of the country. We'll be right back.
Coming together of opportunities, and this is what
infrastructure is the backbone of development, which explains the Buhari government's effort at bridging the facility gap. Infrastructure Weekly is a television package designed to bring you latest information on hundreds of development projects going on in various sectors all over the nation.
There is no state in Nigeria today where you will not see our contractors busy at work.
Power generation, rural electrification, road rehabilitations, national housing scheme, construction of roads and rail lines across the country, you name it.
We are now able to produce 7,000 megawatt of power. That is no longer debatable.
Infrastructure Weekly is Nigerians working together for a better Nigeria. So be better informed to take better informed decisions. Watch Infrastructure Weekly, showing on Channels Television Thursdays 2:30 p.m., NTA Network Wednesdays 5 p.m., and QTD News Fridays at 8 p.m. Infrastructure Weekly, making development known.
Thanks for staying tuned. The federal government says its infrastructure agenda is not political, neither is it biased nor targeted at a particular group of people, but at all Nigerians. Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, said the effort of government is to ensure the creation of employment for all Nigerians, irrespective of political affiliation. The minister was speaking at the flag-off of the rehabilitation of the Ikorodu-Shagamu Road.
For almost 2 decades, the Ikorodu-Shagamu Road, which links both Lagos and Ogun States, was begging for attention until efforts by successive representatives of the district of Ikorodu and Shagamu in the National Assembly pulling together to achieve the reconstruction and rehabilitation of the road all to no avail. The advent of the Buhari administration has, however, changed the tune with the approval and award of the road contracts to Arab contractors a few weeks ago. The decision to do this, according to the Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, is to bring developments to all Nigerians, irrespective of political leanings or association. He added that the federal government will not relent in its efforts to make life easier for all Nigerians.
I don't want disputes about groups. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. There was a road that we flagged off somewhere in south of Nigeria. And the disputes that came while trying to create employment was that one group said, oh, they are supporting one person, so it's only their own people who are getting work. We are not interested in who, we are interested in as much people who can get employment here, without any political coloration.
For the member representing Ikorodu constituency in the House of Representatives, Jimmy Benson, and his counterpart in the Senate representing Lagos East, Benga Shafa, the flag-off is a culmination of years of moving from one government to the other. They order that the road project will not only bring developments to the area, but help in engaging its people, especially the youths.
There's a school down the road, a polytechnic. There is the 174 battalion that helps secure this environment. So fixing this road is fixing half of the problems faced in Ikorodu. So I'm extremely happy. This road has been bad for a while.
It is going to take a span of 36 months, according to the Minister for Power, Works and Housing. 36 months. 36 months amounts to about 3 years, which means there will be inconveniences. They will still have to bear with the government.
For a daughter of the soil and senior special assistant to the president on diaspora matters, Abike Dabiri Erewa, the road has been long in coming. She assures that the government will do all in its power to ensure the completion of the road. She also made special reference to the former member representing Shagamu Federal Constituency for his partnership in the period when they were both in the National Assembly.
That for my 12 years in Parliament, there was nothing we didn't do to get the Ikorodu-Shagamu Road done. You know, under the PDP-led administration, we moved motions, we went to the ministry, spoke with the minister, but nothing happened. But today, we're so happy that the torture faced on this road is about to come to an end. Along with Honorable Braimo, who is working in here, we worked very hard to get this done. But under an APC government, you know, we're glad that this is taking place. This is one of the worst roads that I think, federal roads that are in Nigeria today.
Controller Works for Lagos will be in direct supervision of the project, assures the community and road users of quality work with particular attention to the volume and type of traffic on the road.
Yeah, the
scope of works has been modified in such a way that you have a section of this road that will be built on rigid pavement. The other section will be built on flexible pavement. And whichever one, see, part of it will also be dualized. That's the plan of the ministry. Part of it will be dualized, and then we are going to ensure very high standard, and to take care of the heavy-duty vehicles and articulated vehicles along the road.
Various representatives of the people also cautioned that a contractor should be treated as one of their own, urging the people to bear with the contractor during the 36 months period the road construction will last.
Welcome back. For inquiries, feedback and comment, you can get in touch with us on the social media handles showing on your screen. The issue of roads in the southeast has been a vexed one for successive government, with many southeasterners always describing the region as abandoned. However, the Buhari administration says this will soon be a thing of the past, with various projects in the power, works and housing sectors at various stages in the region. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, who inspected the Owerri Road project expansion and upgrade, said the government will endeavor to complete all projects.
The President Muhammadu Buhari government is blind to political parties when it comes to development. The Minister of Power, Works and Housing says every state of this federation is part of the constituency of the federal government, and its mandate is to partner and not to compete with them. The rehabilitation, expansion and improvement of Ikot Ekpene border Abaweri Dualization Section 1 Phase 1 being handled by Arab contractors is 50.5% complete.
Satisfaction with what our government is doing is change. Yesterday, a few years ago, it was dissatisfaction. So for those who ask you what change means, tell them that change means that the beneficiaries of the rules are satisfied with what the president is doing.
Within 2 years, 16 and 17, we collect 1 billion. That's why when we are going, we will see the project is already having life back.
The Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says contractors must be mindful of the convenience of road users at the various projects, so the roads will not be shut down because of ongoing work.
It's running repairs, for want of a better word. We'll try and keep it in motorable condition year-round, whilst the repair and the construction goes on.
Adequate funding is the reason for the current pace of work, as the 11.26 kilometers project from Owerri end connecting Akwa Ibom, Abia and Imo State is approaching completion stage.
It's work now progressing. You've heard from the contractor that in 2 years under the Buhari government they have received more money on this road than they have in the last 4 years in the past. So when people ask you what change means, it means a stronger commitment to infrastructure that is evidenced by putting fewer resources in the most important places. Change means doing more with less.
The objectives of this federal government in embarking on infrastructural development is to create employment opportunities for the teeming youths in the country.
That's all on this week's edition of the program. Join us again for another interesting edition next week. Till then, let's continue the conversation on Facebook at facebook.com/Infrastructure Weekly and on Twitter at infra_weekly. Lastly, be a patriotic citizen by paying your tax. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Aposede Omowi.